Here's another differentiator for you. We line up with all the major models. We line up with SAMHSA's model of the principles or characteristics that you see in a trauma-informed organization. That includes safety, although we typically talk about reducing risk because the people that we know who've experienced things that are traumatic get it, that you can't always be safe, that there's no such thing as absolute safety. And a lot of people who say they're really trauma-informed don't quite get that. They think if they just do enough, they can make people safe. No, really, all you can do is reduce the risks, and that's important. We believe in teamwork and collaboration as well as in servant leadership. In collaboration, we believe that people can actually share power with each other in every decision except three, and that's one is threat of harm to self or others. Another is those situations that are mandated reporting situations, and the third is if somebody falls out and that means passes out or is unable to speak for themselves, it's hard to collaborate with them. But in all of those, you can collaborate with people prior to the fact to talk about how things might go if any of those pop up. We also believe in looking at history, culture, and gender because we know that the structural isms that come with history, culture, and gender are very powerful influencers in things that happen to us. I mean, for example, when you think about the isms of racism and sexism and the ism of stigmatization, or that we so often enroll against people who are different. Maybe they have a physical disability. Maybe they're from somewhere besides where we're from. Maybe they have a characterological defect according to other people, a history of mental illness or a history of incarceration. We often exclude those people from what we want for ourselves. So we do line up with SAMHSA's 6 principles. You'll see that in at least 2 of the modules in the Trauma Informed Academy's core course for mental health professionals. We don't talk about it so much in the general course because we know we already do it. The second group that we line up with are the National Center for PTSD and the National Child Traumatic Stress Network skills that they talk about in skills for psychological recovery. Now, that body of work and that model is originally meant for survivors of disasters for a little while after the disaster. It's a great model, and it also teaches the things that people who have histories of overwhelming experiences that we call traumatic need. Finally, we line up with a number of the treatment models, or which again, it's not a word I prefer to use, the models that people have designed around trauma recovery that have been out since the 70s, and they still work really, really well. And those are all evident, again, in a couple of the modules that we have in the Trauma Informed Academy's core course for mental health professionals. We think, we know, we believe that lining up with other models is important. Part of that is the process of servant leadership, where we lead by serving others and by showing the way. And that also fits in with the work that I have done as the person, as a voice of lived experience. As the voice of lived experience, you can count on the fact that the things that I have learned that work, that line up with SAMHSA and the NCTSN and NCPTSD and the other folks' work are important to me. I'm probably going to avoid a lot of snake oil just because of my own history. Snake oil means I'm not going to go for just things that people say, oh, this is fun or this might work. I'm going to follow things that at least have some degree of evidence behind them, even if it's anecdotal, and that have at least a couple of grandmothers' worth of experience behind them. So I think lining up is important, and that differentiator is significant to us because lining up with others' models and following servant leadership models means that the work is much more focused on the people who will actually be using it instead of on me or on the people I work with. Because if it's not focused on the people I serve, it probably isn't going to do too much good. It's just going to be another coercive, re-traumatizing kind of thing at some level. There you have it.